I'm Michal. Essentially, I'm the product development manager at VAT IT UK. Our bread and butter has historically been cross-border VAT reclaim. However, coming up with Brexit, we're expanding into the VAT, the VAT compliance element as well, and the overall trade compliance, and making sure goods get from A to B, and that you do it in a VAT compliant manner, and of course are able to recover your VAT at the end of the day. So I've spent the last few months focusing on Brexit, all the challenges. Obviously, there are challenges coming up every single day, and obviously it's very difficult to interpret the law, etc. So that's where I step in, and I'm here to help. And thank you to the Chamber for organising this.
No, that's okay, Michal. It's good to see you and hear from you, and obviously such a busy time as well. What is the impact now on VAT that the UK has left the EU, the single market, the customs union? Because you mentioned it there about reclaiming it back and one thing and another. And this seems to be one area that really is causing quite a few issues at present. So in a sort of simplistic way,
yes.
What is the actual impact now?
Yes, so essentially when the UK was part of the EU, we could take advantage of the inter-EU VAT reclaim mechanisms, very simplistic portals to reclaim VAT. We didn't need to register in majority of countries, and it was very, very simple. Now, because we're seen as a third-party country and not part of the EU, essentially we are claiming import VAT back as a foreigner, and there are much more stricter requirements in terms of where we need to actually register. Do we need to register? Are we meeting thresholds? B2C thresholds, for instance, have been taken to zero. So as soon as you're selling B2C direct into a country, you essentially have to register, whereas before this was not the case. So very complex case-by-case basis, but very complex VAT laws that need to be looked into now.
So when you're saying case-by-case, it's literally, even if it's a business, it's not just business by business, it's actually case-by-case for each particular piece of work that you're doing or goods that you're supplying or whatever it is.
Yes, in many instances, yes, because obviously you can be shipping goods or selling goods to one EU country or multiple, and 3 weeks later you get a sale from another EU country, and the additional laws that need to be looked into. Do you need a VAT register in those countries? Can you reclaim the VAT?
Yeah, so you actually do need to register in each country that you're trading with individually as well.
So again, very complicated, but
yeah.
In theory, you would, if you look at each EU member state as a standalone, you would, in many instances, be required to register. But of course, because the EU, there are ways for you to become, have a VAT presence yourself in the EU member state, in one EU member state, and use that to your advantage of finding ways to, I don't want to use the word avoid, but finding ways to be compliant, but not having to register in every single country. Yeah. Of course, with that, there's reporting obligations, filing obligations, disclosure, etc.
So I guess really it's a case of if in doubt, assume everything has changed and you've got to start from scratch if you're not already in the system or whatever, and ask, I suppose, really, because it sounds as though in some respects, and not aimed at you, Michal, obviously you're only dealing with what you've been dealt with, but it sounds like some of these rules are still being, I wouldn't say made up, but it sounds like there's still a lot of confusion on the part of the rule makers with some of this.
Yes, so definitely not made up, but the interpretations do vary across, it's all about interpretations, interpreting the law. And about, at the moment, we've seen various clients, some clients, their goods are getting stuck if they don't have certain VAT numbers, other clients, the goods are going through. So I think also from a customs perspective, they're still working out exactly what's going to happen and how they're going to control the masses. And secondly, because we've become a third-party country, each country still needs to decide if they're actually going to allow reciprocity with the UK, which we're still waiting for.
So so there's still some ways that this may change even further from what we're dealing with now. Really, exactly. And again, is it just import VAT that businesses have got to worry about, or are there other concerns relating to VAT beyond just making sure that you're registered in countries and with the EU?
Yes, sure. So other issues come up with deciding between yourself and your buyer who's actually going to be responsible as acting as the importer into the country. It's So essentially that brings about complexities of, if you force your buyer to act then as the importer and have to deal with all that admin, etc., then they could just look at purchasing locally instead of having to act as the importer. So there are all those commercial considerations which do bring about additional administrative burden on sellers or on buyers, which could define, if your business actually is able to continue trading.
Yeah, okay. I've just noticed a question, I think, relating to a little bit of that's come from Sharon in the chat there, and it's about the proposed changes concerning import VAT in the EU on the 1st of July, with the customs declarant, for example, DHL, handles the VAT and duty payment. So, what's the situation as regards that now?
Yes. So from the 1st of July, the EU is bringing in various different models. One of them is called the OSS, the one-stop shop, which is allowing for easier VAT compliance and not having to register in every single country. And in terms of the DHLs having to handle the VAT, that is something where, currently, if your infrastructure is set up correctly, DHL can at the moment, handle that import VAT payment for you. Of course, documents will need to be consigned correctly, etc., to make sure that you are able to reclaim that VAT, which obviously can go up to 27%.
Okay, right. Hopefully that's answered that. And obviously, I was aware that there were changes coming up on the 1st of July, but obviously that may change everything again, basically. And we seem to be in a state of flux and change at the present moment in time. Just one question broader, and not specifically around VAT, but are you seeing, I mean, obviously you mentioned over the last couple of months and however long last year you spent preparing for this, do you still feel that a lot of businesses that you speak to have been, shall we say, caught out by what is actually required? And I know some of that is because, well, things were only decided at the last minute.
Yes.
But we knew things were going to change, didn't we? Do you think that many businesses have, like I said, been caught out a little bit by some of the complexities of this?
Yes, so 100%. I'd say majority of businesses we've spoken to have been caught out. When the trade deal was announced, everyone assumed that the trade deal related to both, allowed for a trade deal from a VAT perspective and a duties perspective.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that they never had to worry about the VAT implications. But unfortunately, that's not actually the case, and VAT has to be looked at, in isolation per the EU VAT legislation. So in that instance, majority of companies have been caught out. Like I said, companies didn't even realize they needed an EU EORI number. So their goods have been stuck at customs. We've gotten desperate phone calls with, we can't even get the contract out fast enough for them to sign so that we could actually start, getting these additional registrations and EORI numbers for them. So it is it's quite horrible to see, just how caught out companies are.
Yeah. And again, I suppose the key thing with this is not to add more gloom and doom into things, but to actually say that things will get better. We're in a state, aren't we, of massive change. Well, things will get better eventually once things get agreed, used to, and one thing and another. So it is tough. But again, just to say, if people have got any problems, any questions, any queries or whatever, please ask. Don't just assume it. Don't just assume it's always like it has been. People are having to do different things now, so please ask for that information. So I think that's one thing there. Mikhail, thank you very much. We may come back to you if there's any more questions on the thing, but I really do appreciate again your time at present. Hopefully, it's something of a bit of a break for you, getting away from answering VAT queries. So I'll ask you a load of questions about VAT instead. So anyway, there we go. So our next
Thank
guest.
you so much.
No problem. Thank you.